everybody. Welcome to Know Your Money. I'm Bronwyn Weiner.
And I'm Craig Finch, and we are from Growth Financial Planning. We hope you enjoy our podcast.
Hello everybody, Kirsten is here from Capital Legacy today just to give us a little bit of information on what they offer. Kirst, do you want to introduce yourself and just let everybody know what you do there and a bit about Capital Legacy?
Of course. So I'm Kirsten Starkey. I am a broker consultant from Capital Legacy. I look after a team of advisors who I promote the product to and hopefully get them to understand it a bit better so that they offer the legacy protection plan as well as the will to their clients. Capital Legacy is a fiduciary company. We partner with the financial advisors such as yourselves, tied advisors from various different companies to be their fiduciary partner so that they can use us to do the most important thing when it comes to financial planning, which is the will. We do have a small product that we offer along with this, which we're going to speak more about today.
And that product is LPP, but what is LPP?
The LPP is the Legacy Protection Plan.
Okay.
And it's exactly what I just said. It's a small policy that's not compulsory. So our wills at Capital Legacy are completely complementary. But we do offer this policy along with the will to safeguard fees, to make sure that there are no fees.
So you say complementary means you'll draft the will for free?
Yes.
Do you keep it in safe custody?
Yes, at no
free?
cost, yes.
Okay.
Collect the will and unlimited amendments.
That's good. That's why we use you.
For free.
No, but you're great service. And now this policy helps with what? What happens?
We speak about something called the cost of dying. And I don't think people out there realize that it's expensive to die, ultimately. And this product specifically covers legal fees. We refer to them as the Big Four. And these are your executors, conveyancing, trust fees, and administration fees.
Chris, just explain them each point there. So executors fees, what is that?
So when you pass away, we do a gross executable estate value. So what is your estate worth on the day that you pass away? And that includes unit trust savings, that includes properties, vehicles, any assets.
It's
Cash.
basically any asset where you don't nominate a beneficiary.
Yes.
So on your life policy, you nominate your wife as a beneficiary. That wouldn't form part of your executable estate.
Yes.
Whereas anything when there is nothing, so cash in the bank, unit trust, like you're saying,
Property.
that forms part of your estate that an executor needs to go and
Yes.
So basically anything that the executor deals with, there's a fee involved. That's what you're talking about, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So industry-wide standard is 3.5% plus VAT. So you're looking at about a
4.02, I think it is.
0.025, yes. 4.025% on your total estate value. And it doesn't sound a lot, but if you start adding all those assets up and you're sitting on a 5 million, 5 million gross executable estate, you're looking at fees with all those Big Four at about 800,000 Rand. That's, we've got to find somewhere. And yes, you may have left life cover to your wife, but why should we have to go and ask the surviving spouse, for nearly R1 million out of what you've left her?
Does that make sense to see the...
Yeah.
So the policy, let's go down the next, we'll go through the four. And then
So that's executor fees.
Yeah.
We cover that in totality if you are on the correct legacy protection plan.
What do you mean by that, being on the correct one?
So when we meet with a client, when the testamentary consultant meets with the client, they will calculate the gross executable estates by including everything we've just discussed that forms part of what an asset is. And based on that value, we will then calculate the fees, and that will put you on one of the plans. We go from bronze to unlimited.
Okay.
So you will pay for one where you are covered 100% on your executor and all the other three.
So depending on your affordability, you can choose a plan that might cover partial.
I don't want to say affordability because we may recommend the gold plan for you, which is 200 Rand as an example. That covers you fully. You are more than welcome to take out the silver, which is 30, 40 Rand cheaper, which is not a problem, but then you're not covered 100%. So we don't really base it on affordability. We base it on what you actually need.
Okay.
And then you can choose.
At what point in someone's life do you make this determination? So how do you know what they're going to be worth when they die?
That's a very good question. And that's when we do the calculation, we do it on worst case scenario. So part of the calculation, and it's one of the big four that I'm going to speak about now, is trust fees. So if you've got a child, so when they do the calculation for me, I've got a R1 million life cover that I'm leaving to trust for my son, who's 3. I only want him to be able to get hold of that money when he is 23. So that's a 20-year term. So we base the calculation of if I passed away today, what are those fees going to look like? And for that term. So I've got R1 million in trust for 20 years. It's going to be quite a hefty fee. It's going to deplete that R1 million, but we have to base it on worst case scenario today. And then obviously things change. So the term will go shorter the older he gets, but then I might accumulate more assets. So when I do my quote for people based on my lifestyle, a property and a child, a gold is almost automatic for that. And it's R200 for my age. It's based on age. But it also allows room. So for example, my fees that I work out is about 500,000 as of today, if I passed away. The gold covers you up to R1 million. So it also allows room, R1 million. So I think I'm over. Yeah, so up to R1 million, we indemnify your fees up to R1 million, those big 4 fees. So it also allows room for me. Hopefully, I get a few more assets in my life and own a new property someday or whatever.
And also,
so
I
those
think
things are.
people sometimes leave out businesses. So the executor would have to wind up your business as well. And it's very hard to also value a business right from the beginning, because if you're a startup, that's sort of worth nothing, or your shares in that are worth nothing. But as you go up, then it's worth a lot more, and the executive fees on that can derail the company.
But that's why
almost.
you do an annual review.
Yes.
And then you look at the assets and have you bought more, have you sold any assets, and then you revise the
That's
product.
it, and that's what's so important to do an annual review on all your policies, because exactly like you said, I'm talking to you now at the age of 34. I could be here at the age of 54. Things will be drastically different. My kid's not going to be in trust anymore. I might have sold off a property or two to scale down. Things change, and that's, annual reviews are important.
But I think also one of the things you mentioned before we were on air is sometimes clients don't give you all the details. You know, they don't think that their business is a part of their estate, for example. And then you haven't factored that in. So when it comes to planning, it is really important from the advisor's perspective to get as much information, but sometimes all that information isn't there. There might be more debt. There might be a girlfriend who he's signed as a spouse, a partner in a business. So it's a bit complicated sometimes.
And keeping your will up to date is very, very important, because people don't. And then you pass away and you've been remarried, but your will is still on your previous wife. We've seen it. I've seen it firsthand, and it's not pretty.
So, Kirsten, the trust fees now, that will take the. In other words, your estate pays no fees to the trust, because the legacy
protection plan
pays it.
So
as well.
yes, number one, executor.
The annual fees that they charge, all those things,
all covered. Brilliant. If you've got the legacy protection plan on all the trusts that we offer, we've got 3 testamentary trusts that we offer. All the fees are covered on there.
Okay, so that's trusts, that's executors' fees. What are the other fees?
Conveyancing fees. So that would be if you have a property. Remember, the minute you're transferring into anybody else's name, you need a new title deed. Even if it's husband and wife on a property and husband passes away, you need a new title deed. So there's transfer fees and conveyancing.
Wife is a beneficiary. The property's got to go from his name to her name.
Yes.
What happens is they own it jointly.
Same thing. You need to become the sole.
50% must go to her.
Okay, and the conveyance fees means that you need a lawyer.
Yes.
To wind that up.
Yes.
Right. Or to transfer it, not wind it up.
Yeah.
Okay.
So these are all estimated as well. It kind of works on a sliding scale depending on the value of your estate. And I'm just going off quotes that I've done recently, where a R1.5 million property, you're looking at about 30,000 Rand conveyancing fees. So these are the big things that
so
start
it's covered
eating.
completely by the plan.
Covered completely by the plan,
that's very important.
if you are on the correct one.
Okay.
Can I just take it back a step for me, because I'm getting a bit lost. So the idea of this, you called it an LLP. LPP, sorry.
Legacy Protection Plan, yes.
It is to cover the costs once the person passes away that would have been incurred by the person who is receiving the estate effectively.
Yes.
All of the costs.
Legal fees, no taxes.
No
we
taxes.
cover the fees, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So remember estate duty that we spoke about, like that 20%, that's not covered by this.
But I remember you talked about before, and you might have mentioned it earlier, about there's a small percentages the executor would take.
Yes.
So that's covered.
Yes.
Covered.
Yeah.
So it's basically when you pass away, there's a bunch of people that you need to do things. You need someone to go to the masters to report all of these things, gather all your information, that's sort of the executor. Then you need an attorney to transfer the properties, like when you guys have bought a property. That thing happens, but it happens there. What they're basically doing is helping people not have to go try find all of these people, first of all, and then secondly, not have to worry about all these additional costs because you don't see it. Yes. I mean, what you were saying now, that 5 million, that's 800,000. Then you said 30. There's already nearly R1 million. And what happens if you've only left them R1 million? And all of that has to just go to these costs.
So the fourth is admin.
It's the admin fees. And that's just if we ever have to get involved in payouts of investments or life policies where there's no advisor involved.
But also
looking about 0.75% of that.
Yeah, the advertising, the going to the masters.
So those are the small four
Yeah.
that are also covered on the legacy protection plan.
Okay.
So this plan covers the big four, and that's the main reason we have the legacy protection plan, is to cover those big four because those are what bleed the estate dry.
And with you said 200 Rand earlier, was that a monthly fee? And is that, you said, based upon the age you are when you start?
Yeah.
Yes.
So it's not from here, Warren?
Yeah, no, probably not.
Yeah.
Does it scale as you get older, or is it fixed with inflationary rises?
It's fixed. It's fixed with inflation, yeah.
Okay.
So your age of entry is...
CPI, 1.5%.
And then it goes up with it.
So actually it's a bargain.
It's really, it's an inexpensive product.
Yeah.
It is an inexpensive product. And the differences between the product, that's why you were saying now, affordability, to go between like a bronze, a silver and a gold, you're looking at a 30 Rand difference here. It's really the most expensive, I can actually tell you, because I did this all yesterday, so it's all top of my head. The most expensive plan for the oldest person that we offer the plan to is 59 years old on an unlimited, which is unlimited amounts of fees covered, a huge amount of liquidity that pays out because there's different things, different benefits within the LPP that we offer is 900 Rand. And that is like worst case scenario.
And the
How's
LPP,
it so cheap?
I know, it's so good. Because,
Seriously, that's...
Yeah, exactly. And one of the other things they offer is they, I think you were sort of explaining it now, if you pass away, you kind of have funeral cover in the product, right?
Yeah. Really?
So, yes.
You can add that on, right?
It's added on
So
automatically.
it's included.
Okay.
So if let's take me, 34 years old, gold plan. I have a property and I have a child. It's automatically pretty much a gold plan, okay? I've got R1 million indemnity. So it's not if you're only using 500,000 Rands worth of the fees, we're not going to pay you out the other 500. It's an indemnity benefit, okay? So my 500,000 Rand fees are covered up to R1 million. So it gives me room for growth.
That's
my
all those
big four.
extra cost people.
So it's like you said, not your personal
Big four.
fees like tax
Yes.
or whatever.
Yes.
Yeah.
On this gold plan, you got now, so that's the main benefits. It's called the maximum indemnity benefit. That covers the big four. Then we've got 3 integrated or included benefits in here. So on my 200 Rand that I've just spoken about, I'm going to get that million indemnity. I'm going to get 106,000 Rand that pays out to my nominated beneficiary 48 hours after they've approved my claim.
Over and above the million.
Over and above the million. This is the cash.
That's what cash.
This
That's
is
the
the
cash
only
that can
cash
do your
benefit.
funeral
Okay.
and just supplement because your bank account can get frozen, your medical aid might be bounced, you've got this cash that you can just go and pay.
This sounds too good to be true. There's
The
got to be a
cash
cash.
is paid
There's got to be a cash.
To my nominee.
to nominate beneficiary quite
Yeah.
quickly.
Very similar to the death benefit that Dux, as an example, Discovery, and I think Liberty have an option as well,
Yeah.
where the life cover within 48 hours pays at 50,000.
50,000, yeah.
Correct.
Same.
Okay.
So, but on the gold plan, it's 100,000, 106,000. And you have the option to pay more to get more. There is an extender option on that, okay? The second included benefit over here is what we call the estate overheads protector. And that's the small 4 fees now that we cover too. So the small 4, they're not legal. We call them the non-legal fees. And that's the masters. Remember, the master's office can charge up to 7,500 Rand per an estate.
Okay.
That's a government
I remember
office.
the masters, yeah.
Yeah.
I remember the masters.
You remember the masters. Advertising costs. By law, every death has to be advertised twice. newspaper, government gazette.
Yeah.
That costs money. It's just these things, and this is
Little,
where it's
but
the cost
still.
of dying. It's not cheap. It's really expensive
right.
to pass away. Correspondence fees, Bronwyn mentioned it earlier. Someone's running around, someone's going to the masters. There's movements between money and bank accounts covered that's non-legal. And then if there is a property, so the big covers the conveyancing, but then remember, if we drafting a new title deeds, you have to have someone valuating that property. It's like purchasing a property. You got to get it valuated and certified. Those are the small four that we then cover up to about, on the gold plan, 40,000.
Right.
Okay.
So part of that 106 would be you pay the funeral. Is that the idea behind that as well? You got liquidity.
Yes.
One says the bank accounts
Yes.
get frozen, but then you also need to care for the funeral.
That's
right?
it.
Okay.
So that's the only cash benefit on here.
Okay.
And each of those have extenders, like I said. So this EOP that I just spoke about that covers the non-legal fees, you have an option to pay more and extend. And that pays out for 6 consecutive months, a certain value, depending on which extender you choose. But that is at the discretion of the executor. So it's never going to pay out to the beneficiary. It will pay to, if my husband had to pass away and I can't afford school fees or insurance or levies on the property, the executor would reach out and say, we will pay the service providers directly, whether it's my kid's school or whatever the case may be. That's the extender option.
How long does that?
6 months.
6 months. Right.
Yeah.
Is that
Okay.
in
Is that
a
the fourth
nutshell?
one?
Is that the
So last one, we've got the estate gap cover.
And then there's more.
Always more. There's the estate gap cover. So this is the last. We've got the MIB, the big one, and then the 3.
Don't use acronyms.
Yeah.
Sorry, maximum indemnity benefits, and then
There
we've
we
got
go.
the 3 included: the cash, liquidity, EOP. I'm such an acronym person because there's just so many things. The estate overheads protector,
Okay.
and then lastly we've got the estate gap cover, and it's not the gap cover you guys know in the industry. So this is a little bit where we do double into taxes. It's also only available on the gold plan and up. And what this one does, the integrated option, the included option, is there is on the gold plan, I'm going to keep referring to the gold plan, there's 600,000 that will pay into the second dying spouse's estate. Okay, so I pass away, 600,000 almost sits dormant in my husband's estate. Should he pass away too, it will release into his estate to alleviate some of the inheritance taxes that my child could then. Because remember, my spouse gets the Section 4Q abatement, but my child doesn't. And if it's a value over the 3.5 million, he's going to start...
The 7 million.
Oh, 7 million now, actually. Yes, you're right. He's going to start getting estate duty. But then there's capital gains tax too. So that 600,000 will alleviate some of that.
So just tell
Does
us,
that make
Kirst.
sense?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay, Kirst, just tell us, so now if somebody passes away, there's one spouse, when does that money gets accumulated? The other plan keeps going?
Yes.
And
So
then,
both spouse would have to have the plan.
and then Capital Legacy sort of credit that account,
Yes.
and it's there forever.
No. So the integrated option, the one that I'm paying the 200 Rand for now, would mean myself and my husband would have to pass away within 12 months of each other.
Okay.
Okay. So it's quite a big, what's the word? What's the catch? That's the
Tragedy,
catch.
yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Pretty much simultaneous deaths. But if I took out the extender option, it increases the 600,000 to a higher value and then allows us to pass away. Gosh, it's so morbid, but it's reality.
Yeah.
It allows us to pass away within 25 years
Oh, my
of
word.
each other, which is a massive difference. I mean, that's more likely.
So that's there to pay for the government tax.
The estate duty and
right.
possible capital gains
Yes.
on your investments.
Yes.
Yeah. Then just one thing to Okay, go.
Ask
No, so the gap one you talked about, is that at an extra cost then?
No, so the 600,000 is included in the
How is this all
200.
possible?
It's a pool. We've got, it's
insurance pool. That's
It's an insurance
Still,
pool.
though,
We've
you're
got
paying 200 rand a
everybody.
month.
Yeah, but that's
And-
how
and
they do it.
People
do
don't
you
see the
and yours-
value in the product and then they just go and cancel
Cancel
it.
it.
Yeah.
Yes.
But
So
you-
that's why we're trying to just say, like, this is
Yeah.
gold.
It's gold.
But when
It's absolute
you
gold.
say you and your husband would both have to have it, so you individually have to have a plan.
Yes, there's no joint
Yeah.
plans.
No,
yes.
So it's a
And
bargain.
that's just for the
Yeah.
gap cover.
a
That's
bargain.
just for that gap cover portion, which if you're not married, you still, so it's an included benefit. So even if I took the gold plan and I'm not married,
Yeah.
that it's there. It's just you're not going to use it because you're not married. So it's just part of the package. And then you have the option to extend.
So I think what happens on death, you don't realize these costs come into it. And then, you've got, I got the house, that's great. And they go, hold on, you're not going to get the house. You've got to pay for the transfer of the house and you've got to pay for the executor's fees on the house, etc. So let's just summarize it. The 4 big ones are?
Executor fees, conveyancing fees, trust fees, and admin fees.
Okay. The trust fees are included even though you may not have a trust because you might have grown-up children.
Yes.
Okay, but it's still a great thing.
If you have one, yes.
Then the other ones, the other 3?
So the other 3 integrated benefits on there would be the immediate liquidity, which is
that helps
cash,
the
funeral costs, immediate expenses.
bank account gets frozen, you've got cash.
The 106,000 you
Yes. Okay. Yes. Then we've got the estate overheads protector. We spoke about the big 4. This covers the small 4 non-legal fees.
Yeah.
Okay. Masters, advertising,
60K.
correspondence.
Yeah.
40 on the
40
gold.
close.
Yeah.
Close.
And then the
600
last,
is the next.
yeah. And then the last one is the estate gap cover, and that is on second dying spouse.
Okay, brilliant.
Okay.
Awesome. Just one more thing I just want to bring up because we found such value in it. So you said there 59 highest plan is 900. You do have an option for people that are older than that.
Yes.
And it's like sort of the basic one, but it's such
fantastic.
good stuff for people that are older than that. So can you maybe just give a little bit on that, or must we do it
Absolutely.
separately?
No. So your granny or grandpa or your mom and dad, they're over 65 or 70. What happens to them?
Okay. So we've got something, and it's available for everyone. You don't have to be over 60. It's just that the over 60s are obliged to go
Because
onto
the
this
They
other
can't
plan.
take
plans.
a different plan.
They don't get the cash benefits.
But
So
if they took a plan before 59, that plan would
Carries
continue.
on
Yes,
for life.
yes, for life.
Yeah.
Yes. Just don't upgrade or downgrade because then you're forced on the fee plan, just
Yeah.
by the way.
Yeah.
So
So this is called the fee plan.
this is the fee plan,
Okay.
available to everybody, but it's a compulsory one for anyone over the age of 60. And very simply, there's no medical questions required. It's not underwritten at all. And what it does, standard 3-month waiting period. The
Okay,
MIB,
just stop there. Sorry. So that
maximum.
means that your grandpa is not well.
Yeah, if he
You
dies
put
within
the
those 3 months,
Yeah, if he dies within the 3 months, it's not covered. If he lives longer than 3 months, then he's
Yeah,
covered.
we've done those exclusion things with medical aids and stuff.
Yeah,
I understand.
yeah.
But this one, there's absolutely no
No.
exclusions.
Just
It's
a
just you
waiting
have
period.
to
Yeah, no, it's
live
the
for
time.
3.
It's the
Just
time.
that
time
time.
thing.
Got to
Okay,
make
yeah.
it past that 90 days. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
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 So what it does is the big 4 that I've been referring to, the executors, conveyancing, trust, and admin fees are indemnified by 90%,
No matter how much.
no
they
matter
are.
the value.
That's huge.
Yes.
So if grandpa's estate's worth 10 million,
Yes. And
And
he
the-
is 90 years old
yeah,
and he lives for 3 months, we will indemnify those big
Amazing.
4
to
Up to
90%.
90%.
to 90%.
Is there
That's
an
huge.
upper limit on the size of an estate? Because obviously it's a percentage basis for the fees,
Yes.
isn't it? Or some of them
Yes.
at least.
Yes, it is.
So
All
if
of
you have
them.
an estate worth 100 million,
Yes.
you're going to cover 90% of it.
Yes.
And there's a standard fee for this, right?
Standard fee. So across the board, no matter your age, so that goes up every year.
Yeah.
As it stands 2025, it's 187 Rand and 32 cents on the dot.
How?
187 Rand, like 90% of all those 4 fees are covered.
And it's just those 4 fees.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You
You
just
don't.
Just those. So there's no
Yes.
cash benefits here.
But it doesn't matter. That is
Is
gold.
gold.
I'm so glad you
But
see
That's
the value in
wild
this.
for somebody
huge.
who's worth a lot of money.
Yes.
And-
It's uninsurable,
But even if
Yeah,
someone's
uninsurable.
unhealthy.
Even not big
It's
money.
less than the
Exactly.
interest they'll get on their standard bank account or whatever.
We've had
even not big money, you know, the only thing you have is your house, for
Yes.
example.
Yeah.
That's got to be transferred. There's no actual cash for you to put that now into your wife's name. Pay 180 Rand.
So you've,
At
you know,
89
you-
Or your
Rand.
dad or your
Exactly.
grandpa.
we've had a
or-
few, Warren, in
Yeah.
our practice, and you'll find it's like a small estate and they're still got to pay 80,000, 90,000 Rand. They go, I haven't got the 90,000
Yeah.
Rand. How are you
But
going to
this
do
one, they
this?
only have to pay 8.
Yeah.
And you can't move
Exactly.
forward with everything until you've paid these fees, I'm assuming.
And also the beauty is they
No,
do
can't.
the
So you're
admin.
stuck.
You
Yeah.
guys
You have to come up
You
with
have to come up with it. So what could happen is that the property you think you're going to get gets sold to cover those other expenses
That's
instead of transferred into the children's
that's
name.
sad,
already.
that's it. We start auctioning off assets.
That's the
because
one
we
as well.
need
If
the
it gets sold
money.
in auction, it's also going to be undervalued, isn't it?
100%.
Exactly.
Yeah. It's just, and that's what Capital Legacy stand for. Our mission is to make the loss of a loved one easier. And it starts with the will. That's you guys have covered the importance of a will.
100%.
Number one. But number two, I just wish people knew how expensive it was to die. It's not, and your debt doesn't disappear. You'll be so surprised at how many presentations I do to clients and they're like, they think their debt goes into thin air when they pass away.
Yeah.
And that's why leaving life cover to their estates is crucial too. This legacy protection plan is not there to take away you leaving liquidity to the estate. In fact, it's encouraged. But life cover is a deemed asset, so it's going to inflate those executor fees, and that's exactly why to tie in the legacy protection plan with that, you can inflate those fees as much as you want. We're covering it. And 9 times out of 10, that life cover that your amazing financial advisor that advised you to do that is going to cover debts. People are not honest about, or they sometimes don't even know.
No, they don't realize
you go and
it,
get your latest iPhone. What are we on now? iPhone 50. And those 24 months fees of that flipping how much are these phones? 40,000 Rand phone now.
That's why you don't get phones on contract.
Exactly.
Everyone
Don't do
gets
it.
phones
I
on
don't.
contract. Don't you?
No, I buy Xiaomi phones when I'm in the UK. I buy the top of the range. I bought it 3 years ago.
Okay.
It was a third of the cost of the iPhone. I have no contract on it.
Oh, no, I
So
don't
way to
actually,
go.
you're the only person I know that doesn't have a
I
contract.
try and stay away from contracts as
Yeah.
much as possible.
Yeah, so
But
I
again,
think
it's just an sorry.
Yeah, no,
Greg.
But you can't
Kirsten,
get away from
no.
all of them. I've got a
Yeah.
bond,
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I've
so I
got a
think
child. That's effectively a contract.
and
It's
I
going to
think
cost me money every
That's
month.
the most expensive
what
contract.
happens is that you think it's only the 3.5%. You don't realize all the other fees that you have to pay, like conveyancing.
Even just the
etc.
funeral costs. I mean, not even a
Yeah,
funeral. Just to have a body removed and then incinerated.
Yeah.
It's huge. I found out about it recently.
Exactly.
why-
Way
Chris-
more than I thought.
Chris said, cost of dying.
Yeah.
It's gold.
I'm impressed.
Yes.
I'm not
Gold
often
plan is
impressed, but I'm
gold.
impressed. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Kirsten.
Chris,
It's
thanks.
awesome having you
Yeah,
here.
it's great to have you,
Thank
and
you.
thanks for explaining it in
So well.
detail so nicely. Thank you.
Perfect. No
Thank you.
problem.
Thanks,
Thank
everybody.
you.
Cool.
Bye.
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 Thank you for listening. If you have enjoyed this podcast, would like to subscribe, please visit our website, www.growthfp.co.za. The information we have provided in this podcast is our personal opinion. For more detailed information, please discuss your financial situation with a financial planner.